Hello everybody and welcome back. Last week you saw the final video for the third gym. Please check it out if you haven't. I'm pretty happy how the gym in general turned out, so yeah, check it out. Today you will meet a Pokemon that nearly every fan-made region has, the regional Yamask. Ever since Galarian Yamask and its regional evolution Runerigus was announced, people started to create their very own regional Yamask, switching out the mask or stone piece for other objects. And so did I. Let me first explain what the real-life inspiration was. So, there is this specific coffin called tree coffin or Danish bullkiste. I don't know if there's an actual English term for it. It is basically a tree trunk getting split in half and hollowed out. Luckily for archaeologists, these coffins were often buried beneath large burial mounds, which left them in a good preservational state. This type of coffin was used in the Nordic Bronze Age, but also until the Middle Ages. Nordic Bronze Age coffins can be found, for example, in Denmark, but also in northern parts of Germany. I think they're pretty rare here though. One example would be a burial at Lülau. A reconstruction of the site can be seen at the archaeological path in the Fischbecker Heide. Before I go any further, I have to mention one thing. I'm studying archaeology, so it is important for me to make clear that I'm not going to make an archaeological correct region. I will use stuff from history and so on, and I will interpret it to fit into my fictional region. Just because I say something about my Fakemon does not mean that its real-life inspiration also worked the same way. Things will be mixed and different aspects will be added that are completely made up. I will of course tell you what I'm making up, but yeah. I had to make this disclaimer so no one gets things mixed up. Anyways, back to Yamask. After I got the idea with the tree coffin, I brainstormed how to make the concept a bit more interesting and unique. I figured if I just make a grass Yamask with 3 elements, people will immediately think of Phantom, which I of course didn't want. While brainstorming, I remembered that it was not uncommon to put faces on, for example, urns. This was a motif I wanted to reuse since it is something that draws inspiration from the real world and from its original Yamask. But I didn't want to reuse the aspect of making the object this mon is holding to resemble their face from back when they were humans. That'd be boring and pretty unoriginal, so I made up a bunch of stuff. Back in ancient Jermanzburg, there was a burial tradition of putting the ashes of a past one into an urn made out of a tree trunk and putting it back into the forest, because the forest was seen as the bringer of life, and giving it back the ones that passed would close the circle of life and death. To make sure the soul of the past person is having a comfortable afterlife, the urn they were put in was carved to resemble the person they loved the most. This could be their partner, best friend, a family member, literally anyone. It was different from individual to individual. This was practiced all over the region. However, those who got buried in the so-called gridlock area would turn into a Yamask. The souls could not pass into the afterlife and stayed in the urn for many years, until they decide it's time to look outside. Well, the bad thing is they usually have no idea where they are and what happened. The good thing is they will find comfort in seeing the face of their loved ones on the urn. They will immediately grab it and never let go of them. To bring across the point, I drew the Yamask literally being wrapped around its object instead of just holding it. This made it actually a bit more easy to draw the face on the urn as well. By the way, that's not the only Yamask variant, because this whole face urn thing is not practiced anymore in the region. People of course still get buried, but not in these special urns, so newer Yamask are born without them. However, a few centuries ago those Yamasks saw the ones with the urns and decided they need something similar because they felt empty. So they just grabbed random tree parts in the same manner as the gridlock Yamask to feel complete again. And here it is, Jermanzburg Yamask in its gridlock form. These ones are very rare since they are really old. If you manage to catch one of these, you will find out that they actually have a hidden ability. No idea what this ability would be, I'm really bad with that, but it's hidden. And here's the more common regular Jermanzburg Yamask. These can be found all over the other 2 areas. And now let's find out what it will evolve into. At first I had to figure out what I even want to do. There was no plan whatsoever. I just knew that I wanted to incorporate the urn from the previous design as kind of the heart element, and there had to be a full tree coffin somewhere. One aspect of Fakemon and Runerigus are that their face is hidden behind either the sarcophagus or the stone painting thing. I wanted to keep the aspect and just put a hollow piece of wood over it that is only showing one eye and part of its huge grin. It's a ghost type, obviously, so I had to suddenly hint at that. You see the floating tree trunks, right? The way I drew and sorted them, I hoped the silhouette would look like a human spine. And after that, the only way to incorporate the coffins was to put them as some sort of armor over its arms. The object from the previous stage is now placed directly under its head, where the heart would be located. Symbolism and stuff, you know. Oh, also side note, while sketching the ghostly part, I used some sort of neon green because it was vibrant color that was easy to see, and I did want to change the color in the final drawing to a more olive tone like the official Evos, but I like the neon color so much that I kept that way. Looks really glowy. Drawing these different forms and the ghostly energy thing were a bit confusing because I had to be careful what to draw on which layer and so on. So that became a bit confusing over time, but it worked out. To differentiate between the two arms, I just put different patches of grass and holes into or onto the wood. Also, the right tree trunk looked way too empty, so I wondered what else I could draw onto it. And I remembered that it is, or at least was, pretty common thing to carve your name into trees or branches and stuff. Or if you are a couple, it would be like the initials of your names. Pretty sure you're not supposed to do that cause the tree is a living being and you're carving in its skin, but that never hindered anyone. I wanted to do something similar for this Fakemon and remembered that I put some runes on a Fakemon called Favrune. So I looked up the design of Favrune and chose a few design elements that can be seen as runes. And you know what the funny part is? With a bit of imagination, the runes spell out love. Like, spin them around a bit and you can read love. Now that I look at it, it feels a bit corny, but like, I wasn't trying. I just picked random parts of the design and said, yeah, those are runes. And it's fitting so well for the concept, I'm just gonna call it fate. That's all for the design, but I want to say a bit more about Yamask because I don't have more to say about the evolution, because the Yamask text was already pretty long. I think I already said that in this hypothetical game the Fakemon can be seen in the overworld. Yamask will usually be encountered alone. In very rare occasions you can find two of them in one spot. This only happens if two people become Yamask that were buried in urns with each other face on it. I don't know how to properly explain it, so here's an example. Person A and B were a couple. A died and was buried in an urn with the face of B carved into it. Then person B died and was buried in an urn with A's face on it. Both were reborn as Yamask. Once those two Yamasks see each other, they will recognize the face, because it's their face, and will know who the other Yamask is. Since they found each other again, they will obviously stay together from now on. If you're an absolutely heartless creature and catch one of them, the other one will follow you everywhere. They will follow you into cities, buildings, it doesn't matter where you go. Even if you provoke a battle and defeat it, it will come back shortly after. To make this behavior stop, you can either catch the Yamask or release your caught Yamask. This will trigger a short cutscene of the two uniting and quickly running away. Well, if you're releasing it. I imagine if you beat the following Yamask like 3 times, it will get incredibly mad and evolve. So the next time you see it, it's no longer a mask, it's gonna be the evolution. If you trigger this event, you will not be able to catch it anymore because it hates you. It literally just hates you. I mean, you did kidnap the partner, so what were you expecting? Your only way of stopping it is to release your Yamask. Would this be annoying for a trainer? Yes, but no one forced you to be mean. Deal with the consequences. Oh, also NPCs will address this situation if they see the Yamask following you. Especially the nurses in the Pokémon Center, gym leaders, and everyone who knows stuff about the past of the Jermanzburg region. This whole thing can also happen with the evolution, but it's even more rare to happen. Speaking of evolution, here it is, Kistorigus, the ghost and grass evolution of Jermanzburg Yamask. The name comes from the already mentioned term Bullkiste, the Danish term for tree coffin, or the German term Kiste, which just means box. This name was originally just the working title, but once I realized that it also sounds like kiss, I decided to keep the name. It was fitting with the whole theme, so why throw away the name? So what do you think of this line? Is it a worthy addition to the fan-made Yamask family? Let me know in the comments. Please leave a like, share the video with your friends and subscribe if you haven't. See you in the comments!